Hey, welcome back to my sorting little tutorial, mini tutorial on the street selection sort. This is the last video that I'm going to do on the sorting algorithm, the street selection sort. In this video, I'm going to compare the code and the traversals that happen in terms of code, and then how it looks visually, because I'm a visual person, so. And I think I can share that with you. Hopefully you get something out of it. Okay, now on the right, you'll see our array, the way it would look in memory, right? And then on the left, you see the actual code. So this line over here is us declaring the array and setting the elements in the array. Okay, now when we start out over here, this is the wall being set. So think of it as when I is 0, right? We know that I is over here, right? And we'll go through this. Now, lowest val is sort me of I, right? So if we take a look at what sort me of I is, so remember my array name is called sort me. What is sort me of I? Sort me of I in our first traversal is going to be 17, right? Which means that my lowest val is equal to 17. And then my lowest val index is I, which is in the initial case is 0. Now, we start out with that, and that is, remember, the outer loop is your wall. Now, we found our wall, we initialize our wall. Now we go into the inner loop, okay? The inner loop is actually going to traverse through the unsorted array. Remember, initially, this whole thing is our unsorted array, right? Because the wall is I equals 0. Which means that this inner loop has a second control variable called j. And we said that j is going to always start at the lowest index of the unsorted array. And I said that the pattern here is that as I moves up, so will j, right? Which means that j will not have to start over at the 0th index. It's going to move with I as a starting index. The only difference is, and you'll see in the second traversal, is that when I stays still, j moves, right? It has to go through the whole array, okay? So when we go through with j, right, on over here, we find that the lowest value, okay, is eventually going to be 2, and the lowest index is eventually going to be also 2. And then as we end the loop, we do the swap, right? So we need to swap the lowest index, and this is what we did before, right? So we did a swap here, and then we do a swap over here, which means that we are going to end up with the following. We're going to have 253, 17, 7, and 29, right? Okay, and once we did that swap, what happens? Well, remember, we're down here now, right? Now we got to come back up, and I now increments by 1. So that means that the wall is going to move up here. I is now here, and J, right, is going to be over here. Barring, my lowest val now is, so I'll write it over here. So my lowest val is going to be initially, right, before J starts going off to the races, our lowest val is going to be 53, and our lowest val index is going to be 1, right? But then J goes off to the races, and it tries to find an element that's lower, right? Remember, as J goes off to the races, I stays still, because at this traversal, I is equal to 1. At this traversal, I is equal to 0. When J is 2, I is still 1, right? When J is 3, I is still 1. And eventually, after this traversal, we're going to find that this is the lowest value, right? And then we do the same story again. We're going to swap this with that, and then this with that, which my resulting array is now going to look like this. You're going to have 2, 7, 17, 53, and 29. Okay? Now, after the swap, which we just did, the wall is going to move up again, because my I is going to be equal to 2, and then J is also moving up with I. And remember, again, J is going to go off to the races trying to find the lowest, and then once it finds the lowest, it does the swap, which is over here. I'm going to leave it up to you to trace through the rest and compare it to the code, and then hopefully there is a bit more understanding as to how the street selection sort works. Okay, I hope you learned something. It was 7 minutes, so it's good. And yeah, enjoy the class. And then the next topics are going to be in the advanced programming concepts list that I put up on my YouTube channel. Okay, so have a good sorting learning. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to check out my my other crypto project that I'm working on. Thanks.